Libra, this is different. This isn't about a blessing falling from the sky. This isn't about a miracle appearing out of nowhere. This is about something that was taken from you long ago. Something subtle. Something invisible to everyone else. And yet, it shaped your entire life. You know exactly what I'm talking about, even if you've never had the words for it. It's the part of you that learned to stay quiet to keep the peace. The part of you that learned to bend so others wouldn't break. The part of you that kept choosing harmony over truth, connection over self, silence over honesty. And one day, without a dramatic moment, without an explosion, without a clear goodbye, you lost yourself. Not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece. You didn't notice it at first. You told yourself this is what love looks like. This is what maturity looks like. This is what being fair looks like. But it wasn't fairness. It was imbalance. And you've been living inside that imbalance for so long that it started to feel normal. But here's what you need to hear right now, Libra. In 2026, that imbalance ends. Not symbolically, not emotionally, not as a concept. It ends in reality. And before you roll your eyes and think, I've heard this before, let me ask you something very specific. When was the last time you felt truly chosen? Not tolerated, not accommodated, not appreciated when convenient. Chosen. When was the last time you didn't have to explain your feelings, soften your needs, or justify your boundaries just to keep someone close? You probably don't remember, because you've been living in survival mode for so long that you forgot what emotional justice feels like. And that's the truth most people don't want to say to you. Libra, you weren't unlucky. You weren't asking for too much. You weren't difficult. You were giving too much in a world that learned it could take from you endlessly. And the universe allowed it for a reason. Because you needed to learn something that can only be learned when the scales are unfair. You needed to learn who you are when you stop negotiating your worth. You needed to discover what happens when you don't rush to restore peace at your own expense. You needed to feel the discomfort of imbalance so deeply that you would never accept it again. And you did. You learned it the hard way. Every time you stayed when you should have left. Every time you forgave without repair. Every time you compromised your truth just to avoid conflict. You were building something inside yourself. A new center. A new spine. A new definition of harmony. And now, Libra, you are ready for what comes next. But listen carefully. What returns in 2026 is not an apology tour. It's not karma in a dramatic costume. It's not revenge. It's alignment. And alignment is quiet, precise, unavoidable. In 2026, the scales shift. The energy you've been pouring outward begins to return inward. The effort you've been extending without reciprocity finds its match. The love you've been offering without protection finds its equal. But here's where things get intense. Because when balance returns after a long period of imbalance, it doesn't feel gentle at first. It feels disorienting. You're so used to adjusting yourself that standing firm feels almost wrong. You're so used to carrying emotional weight for others that having someone meet you halfway feels suspicious. You'll catch yourself thinking, this feels too easy. This feels unfamiliar. This feels unsafe. But it's not unsafe. It's just new. And new requires courage too. There's something you need to understand about 2026. It's not the year you finally get what you wanted. It's the year you finally stop accepting what you never deserved. And that changes everything. Now let's talk about what was truly taken from you. Because for Libra, the loss wasn't always obvious. It wasn't always a breakup. It wasn't always a failure. It wasn't always a door slamming shut. Sometimes, what was taken from you was your voice. Sometimes, it was your right to be angry. Your right to be disappointed. Your right to say, this isn't fair. You learned to rationalize pain instead of honoring it. You learned to intellectualize hurt instead of confronting it. And slowly, your inner world became a negotiation table instead of a sanctuary. You became the mediator in your own life. And mediators rarely get what they want. They get what keeps the room calm. But 2026 doesn't reward silence. It rewards clarity. It rewards honesty. It rewards the Libra who finally says, this is where I stand. And here's the part that might surprise you. The universe didn't take your balance away to punish you. It took it away to show you how powerful you are without external validation. It needed you to learn that peace that costs you yourself is not peace at all. It needed you to experience what happens when you stop being the glue holding everyone else together. And you survived that. You didn't fall apart like you feared you would. You didn't become cruel. You didn't become bitter beyond repair. You became discerning. You became aware. You became someone who can now recognize true balance when it appears. And that's exactly why 2026 matters. Because what returns isn't just fairness. It's fairness that can stay. But let me be very clear about something. This return will not arrive in the form you expect. The universe doesn't repeat old patterns. It evolves them. If what you lost was a relationship, it may not be that person who comes back. It may be someone who doesn't require you to shrink to fit. If what you lost was a sense of purpose, it may not return through the same path. It may come through a role, a calling, or a life direction that didn't exist for you before. If what you lost was confidence, it won't return as arrogance. It will return as quiet certainty. And this is where many Libras fail. They become so attached to the image of what fairness should look like that they miss it when it arrives differently. Don't do that. In 2026, pay attention to how things feel, not how they look. Because balance doesn't announce itself. It settles. It stabilizes. It becomes undeniable over time. Now let's talk about the work that still needs to be done. Because the return doesn't happen while you're clinging to placeholders. And yes, Libra, you filled the empty space with substitutes. Some were healthy. Some were necessary. Some were just there to avoid loneliness. Relationships that were good enough. Situations that were better than nothing. Beliefs that kept you functioning but not fulfilled. And when real balance approaches, those things have to go. And that hurts. It hurts to let go of people who were there during survival but can't walk with you into abundance. It hurts to admit that something you defended for years was never aligned. It hurts to say, this no longer fits me, when it once saved you. But you can't build equilibrium on temporary support beams. You can't receive fairness while still tolerating imbalance. And here's the question you need to answer honestly. Are you willing to disappoint others to stop disappointing yourself? Because 2026 will ask you to choose. Not dramatically, not loudly, but consistently. Every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you stay quiet when something crosses your boundary. Every time you compromise truth for comfort. Those moments matter now. And there's something else you need to understand. Not every Libra will accept the return. Some will resist it. They will be so invested in being the reasonable one, the understanding one, the easy one, that they won't know how to live when they're finally met with equal effort. They'll sabotage it. They'll question it. They'll downplay it. They'll convince themselves that wanting fairness is selfish. And then they'll wonder why nothing ever truly changes. Don't be that Libra. Because this alignment doesn't repeat. What's forming for 2026 is the result of years of emotional accumulation. Years of lessons. Years of restraint. Years of self-betrayal that finally taught you self-respect. And if you turn away now, it won't hurt like before. Before, loss was forced. This time, loss would be chosen. And that regret is heavier. Now let me show you what 2026 can feel like if you're ready. Imagine waking up without that constant background tension. That feeling of scanning the room emotionally. That need to read between the lines. Imagine relationships where you don't have to translate yourself. Where you're not constantly adjusting your tone to be more palatable. Imagine making decisions without asking, will this upset someone? Imagine your life finally feeling fair to you. Not perfect, not effortless, but balanced. Imagine looking back and realizing that the reason everything fell off for so long was because you were living someone else's version of peace. And now imagine standing firmly in your own. That's what 2026 offers. But only if you stop negotiating with your own soul. There's something important you need to release before then. Resentment. You've been carrying quiet resentment for years. Not explosive anger. Subtle bitterness. The kind that comes from always being the one who understands. Always being the one who forgives. Always being the one who waits. And that resentment became part of your identity. The one who gives more. The one who never gets it back. But you can't receive balance while holding onto the story of injustice. Not because it's wrong, but because it anchors you to the past. Forgiveness here isn't about excusing what happened. It's about releasing the role it plays in your future. It's about saying, this shaped me, but it doesn't define me. And yes, that's hard. Because it means letting go of the version of you that survived by endurance alone. But you don't need that version anymore. You're not in survival now. You're in transition. So here's your challenge. Start small. Identify one pattern where you habitually put yourself second. Just one. And stop doing it. That's it. Let the discomfort happen. Let the silence stretch. Let someone else adjust for once. And notice what happens. Because with every small act of self-alignment, you're signaling readiness. And the universe responds to readiness, not desire. Now, the months leading up to 2026 may feel strange. Old conversations may resurface. People from the past may reappear. Situations you thought were resolved may ask for closure. This isn't punishment. It's recalibration. The universe is checking the scales, making sure nothing is unfinished, making sure you've truly learned the lesson. And you have. You already know when something feels unfair. You already know when you're overgiving. You already know when harmony is being bought at too high a price. Trust that knowledge. It's the compass that will guide you through 2026. And when alignment finally settles into your life, don't expect fireworks. Expect relief. Expect quiet confidence. Expect a deep exhale you didn't know you were holding. You'll realize one day that you're not tired anymore, that you're not constantly negotiating your worth, that your life finally feels like it's moving with you instead of against you. And that's when you'll understand. Everything that was taken wasn't lost. It was delayed, until you were strong enough to hold it without losing yourself again. So tell me, Libra, are you ready to stop being the mediator of your own suffering? Are you ready to choose truth over comfort? Are you ready to live in balance instead of performing it? Because 2026 is coming whether you're ready or not. But only those who are ready can receive what's being restored. Only those who stopped betraying themselves can hold on to fairness when it arrives. And you deserve that. You always did. You just needed to learn it first. And now you have. So make space. Stand firm. And let the scales return to center. Because this time, balance stays.